Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's show is a little bit different. It was a recording of a presentation I gave at Joey Pepka's Apartment Investors Meetup, which is a monthly subgroup of MNREIA, or the Minnesota Real Estate Investors Association. My presentation was on best practices for networking. And although it's a little bit off topic from what we normally cover in this show, I still thought it would be beneficial for you to hear because as apartment owners, we are business owners. And as business owners, it's great for us to be improving our various business skills, including networking. So a couple of things before we get into this show. Number one, this was a live event held at a Devani's, so we didn't have any professional audio and video equipment on hand. The audio, it was recorded with my phone and a lapel mic, and it wasn't 100% how I would have liked it, but I hope that you will still really get some great content out of the presentation, even though the audio quality isn't 100%. Number two, there was no video at the event, but I am still releasing this on my YouTube channel, Real Estate Styles. And if you happen to look at the video there, what you'll see is the PowerPoint presentation that I gave during the presentation. So that is a resource available if you're interested. And finally, be sure to stay till the end of the show because I'm going to be sharing a pro tip about how to use LinkedIn to connect with everybody in the room at your next meetup. So let's get into it. I hope you enjoy the show. It is a common saying amongst real estate investors that you make money when you buy, not when you sell. While this catchy phrase has value, it fails to convey how easy it is to lose money through poor property management. Whether you self-manage or hire a professional, it is important to understand how to navigate the common pitfalls and challenges with rental properties without losing your shirt or your mind. That's why you have tuned in to Maximizing Your Property Value, the Apartment Owner's Guide to Operating Rental Properties as a Successful Business. I'm your host, John Stiles, real estate agent and team leader of the VIP Real Estate Group at Bridge Realty. As a current multifamily investor and former property manager myself, I understand the headaches and difficulties of keeping an investment property from becoming a money pit and time sucker. It takes a solid business plan. It takes tested systems. And it takes key team members to actually find success. So let's take a deep dive and maximize your property value. How's everybody doing today? Wonderful. All right, I don't do a lot of public speaking, so bear with me as I get all the butterflies to fly in formation. But thanks to Joey for having me, and really excited to share with you guys today. I thought I should start off with just explaining who I am for anybody that doesn't know me. My name obviously is John Stiles. I am a licensed real estate agent with Bridge Realty. And I got my start in real estate about 10 years ago. So pretty soon they're going to let me take the training wheels off and really, make 2020 the year it all happens. But I got started in real estate because I was interested in investing, but I really had no idea how to make it happen. I didn't really have anybody to show me how to make it happen. I was really pretty just not knowledgeable about it. But I thought I could manage somebody else's rental property pretty easily. So I started my own property management business and then found out you have to be a licensed agent to do that. So went and got my license, became a leasing agent, property manager, and I did that for a number of years, managed about 120 doors, give or take. And so I learned a lot about rental properties in that time period. As a licensed agent, I was also able to begin selling properties, and as the market was, going up and improving, I was able to help a lot of our clients who were kind of accidental landlords to sell their properties, and then the clients that were purposeful investors, find new opportunities. So. After doing a number of sales deals, I figured I kind of like that better than the management side of the business. In the management side of the business, it would be a lot easier if there was no tenants and no owners to deal with. But it's not. So I like the sales side of the business just because, people a lot more happier when they're buying or selling something. So, but that's just briefly about myself. And then one question I have for you guys before I get into this topic here is, who here was at the conference, the Northstar Real Estate Conference back in September? Okay, great. So I need to apologize to you guys because I gave a very similar presentation there, so this might be a little bit of a repeat, but hopefully it's still, beneficial and you can get something out of it still. And if you were not at the conference, you have an opportunity to come to our next one, which is in April, the 24th and 25th. And there'll be more information about that later, but it's a great opportunity. There's speakers coming from both locally and nationally, talk a lot about different topics in real estate, and it's going to be a great place to network. So let's.
And if you go once the website is live and everything like that, use Pepka 20, you get
$100 off.
$100 off. Use the discount code.
And the website is live.
It is live. Okay.
So yep, you can go ahead and do that.
PEPKA 20.
So the website is NREconference.com. It's going to be right here in Bloomington, just down 494 a little bit, April 24th and 25th. So networking on purpose. Who can tell me why is networking important? Mm-hmm.
Finding clients, prospects.
Okay.
Learn something you don't know.
Learn something that you don't know. By the way, first two answers get a mug here.
Oh yeah.
So thanks.
Thank you.
Yep. So congratulations. Any other reasons? What's networking all about? What's the purpose of it?
Finding out information about somebody else.
Okay.
Building relationships.
Build relationships. Very good. Very good. So now the question that I've run into, I've done a lot of networking over the past 10 years, but my problem has been I've not always come away feeling that it was a successful endeavor. And the problem associated with that is there's a lot of time and money invested in networking. I mean, you paid $5 to get in here today, right? And that's not a lot of money, but if you go to other events, it could be a couple $100s a year or a couple $100 a weekend, depending what the event is. So you've got money invested into networking, and you've got time invested into networking, but are you getting the return on investment? Okay. So I found that for me, networking does not happen just naturally. I've gone to a lot of networking events, and it's not returned the investment that I had into it. One of the things we do at networking events is we collect business cards, right? Pass out business cards. I've collected a lot of business cards in my day. This is, of course, just a small portion of the business cards I've collected over the years. Is that impressive? I don't know. But you might look at this and say, wow, that's great. And in fact, I did when I initially started collecting cards. I was like, I know at one event I went to, they had regular attenders, and then when a visitor would go, they would hand them all the business cards for all the members. And so I came away with a huge stack of cards. And I remember going back to somebody at my office and saying, look at this gold. Now I've hit the jackpot. Now my business is going to take off because I have all these people I'm connected with. But the problem is, they're still just a stack of business cards. This paper is actually worthless to me. I mean, years later, if I try to figure out who this person is and are they going to remember me, are they going to care if I call them and try to do business with them? Maybe, maybe not. So the other issue that I've run into as I've tried to do networking is I don't feel like I'm naturally an extrovert. I'm kind of like an extroverted introvert, some sort of combination of the two. I don't always feel like I'm very charismatic. So I've got kind of some personality or self-doubt issues potentially. But who here feels like that when they walk away from a networking event that they feel like it's been a success? I mean, who feel like they're a successful networker? Okay, great. So maybe you guys can come up and share the rest of it.
Well, it depends from event to event, right?
Yeah, depends. So that being said, I put together kind of some best practices for myself so that I can improve my networking skills. And so that's what this presentation is about. And hopefully you guys can all, take something out of it and improve your own skills. And then the other thing I want to say about this before I get into it is a lot of these things are pretty obvious. They're common sense, if you will. But I find with myself and with others that common sense things are not always commonly practiced things. So hopefully just kind of hearing this in this context will maybe help it to click in a new way. So let's see if my clicker works here. So we've talked about some of the different purposes of networking, and I want to suggest kind of this definition of my purpose for networking is to build mutually beneficial relationships that leverage the extended connections. Okay? Build mutually beneficial relationships that leverage extended connections.
Could you say that definition one more time? Or
Sure, yeah. So the purpose of networking, in my mind, I made this up. I don't know. To build mutually beneficial relationships that leverage extended connections. So that's what this picture is about. Sometimes we network and we might meet somebody we don't initially think that the relationship is beneficial, like they're not exactly what we're looking for. But I think we fail to realize that how many other people that person is connected to. And so if we find a way to build a strong relationship with that person, even if it's not to meet an immediate need that you have, there's opportunities there that you could still have. Okay, so I've broken up these tips into 3 sections, pretty analytical and organized. So we've got 3 sections here: before you go to a market or a networking event, during the time that you're at a networking event, and after the time you're at a networking event. Did everybody get one of these flyers? Great. Thank you. Okay, so my first tip that I give you is be prepared to share something interesting about yourself. So again, I'm going to remind you this is common sense, but not always commonly practiced. So what do I mean by that? Something interesting about yourself. It could be both on the business side of things and also on the personal side of things. Be prepared to talk about your family, your hobbies, and be prepared to get it very specific about your business. What is your focus with your real estate investing? Again, I hate to be so repetitive, but you think this is obvious and everybody should be doing this, right? But I think that the reason I want to stress this is because I want you to think critically about it, so that when you speak to people, you're not talking about so many different random things, but it's something that people can connect with. So you want to be building these bridges of commonality, because we know that people do business with people that they know, like, and trust, right? So in order for them to know and like and trust you, they need to begin to build bridges of commonality. So that's why you want to be prepared to share something interesting about yourself. And the next thing that you want to be prepared for ahead of time is to share something of value. So today, I have brought something of value for you. I have a subscription to CoStar, which, if you know, is a data center for commercial, multifamily, and other statistics, deals, analytics. And it's not a cheap subscription. It's like $400 a month. And but they have some great market analysis in there. And we all are wondering, what's going on in the apartment market here in the Twin Cities. And so here's a little report that you can read. You may not have access to otherwise, and just want to share that with you. So as you go to a networking event, what type of value can you bring to somebody? Okay, and I don't want you to think about that in terms of a sales pitch. Okay, networking is not about making a sale. Yes, this is related to the type of business that I do as an agent, but I'm not expecting you all to do business with me. I'm giving you a gift here. So what thing can you bring? It might be knowledge about a deal, an opportunity that you looked at that was not right for you, but it could be right for somebody else. If you know that's available, you could bring that opportunity. So knowledge, resources, what type of value can you bring? And I know, I want to give an example here of a title company I know where the title agent, the sales rep, one of the things he does is just what I mentioned there. Whenever he learns about properties that are available or buyers that are looking, he takes note of that and he tells everybody he can tell. And he's not going to earn any sort of commission by putting a buyer and seller together. It's related to his business because if he can close the transaction, that's great. He can earn some business that way. But he's not looking for that necessarily. He's just sharing value. So what can you bring of value to a networking event? And the third thing is to know what you're looking for. Okay, this kind of goes back to the having a purpose in your networking. And I want you to define one thing before you go to an event. Are you looking for your next deal? Are you looking for a lender? Are you looking for a partner, a mentor? We've heard it said in setting goals in general that if you aim for nothing, you'll be sure to hit it, right? So I think this can apply to attending a networking event as well. So if you leave a networking event feeling like you didn't get anything out of it, well, did you know what you wanted to get out of it when you entered that networking event? So next phase of this is at the networking event. Welcome, you guys are all here, so you can start right now. So, so even though we've spent all this time kind of inwardly focused, figuring out who I am, what I'm looking for, what do I have, when you get to the event, be willing to share that, but don't start with that, okay? Nobody really wants to talk to somebody that only talks about themselves. So if that's you, I know some people are naturally like that, maybe just take a self-assessment and see if you can work on that a little bit. But people actually are attracted to people that are interested in the other person. So look for the value that other people have. Again, referring back to the extended network idea. Even if the person that you're talking to is not exactly the seller that you want to meet, maybe they know somebody who knows somebody. Okay. So a couple of tips to help you do this effectively is, number one, is to use people's names. And I think most of us have heard this before, that somebody's name is really the most meaningful sound that they can hear. And I don't know, raise your hands if you feel like you're good at remembering names. Great, okay. And if you're not good at remembering names, anybody? Okay, there's more people here. I'm so glad I'm not alone. Because I've always said that I'm terrible at remembering names. But you know what? I read a book, or I listened to a book recently, Extreme Ownership. Have you ever read that by Jocko? So I'm done with excuses, okay? I'm going to take ownership of me remembering names. So how am I going to do that? Well, one thing is, I appreciate, Joey, what you've done. We've got name tags. So it's helpful. For me, I learn things visually and through action. So having names visual is really helpful. If you're at an event where you don't have name tags, you got to figure out how to overcome that. So what else could you do to visualize somebody's name if they don't have a name tag? Well, you could actually, in your mind's eye, you can visualize how it's spelled out and take just a split second. Josh, Josh, spell it out in your mind. Now I've just visualized it. Or you could take a piece of paper. Whenever I go to an event, I try to, I don't know where it went, but try to keep a notebook nearby. Figure out where it went. Here it is. Write somebody's name down. Now I've not only visualized it, I've also taken action, and I've acted upon that. Okay, so I have taken advantage of my learning styles in that. And the other tip I give you with remembering names is to do a word association or even a sound association. So what does the name sound like? Who is somebody else that you know? What is a location or a thing that you can associate with that name and with that person's face to just help that name sink in better? And what's really important once you learn their name is to repeat their name. So that's what it says up here, use people's names. Because again, they're going to feel better connected with you if they feel acknowledged that they exist. So when you introduce yourself to somebody, say their name again, and find another opportunity in the conversation to say their name. Okay, so number 2 is to ask questions. And this goes back to discovering the value in who you're talking to. One really great way to ask questions is actually it's not actually a question, but it's repeating what somebody's just said to you. That tells them that you heard them, and it also gives them opportunity to clarify what they've said. It might sound awkward or it might seem awkward at first to repeat exactly what somebody has told you, but actually they won't really notice. They won't realize that you're simply repeating them. But if they hear what they've said repeated back to them, they'll expand upon it and they'll feel like they have been heard. So you also want to ask questions that dig deeper into what they're sharing. So you got to assume that what somebody's just told you is important to them. And if you can ask a follow-up question that digs deeper into that topic, again, they'll feel like you are listening to them and you're connecting with them. So again, we're not trying to get to a sale. We're not trying to get to yes, okay? We're trying to begin building relationships. And as I kind of referenced regarding names, is take notes. So whether that's kind of in between conversations as you go from group to group or person to person, take a split second and just write down their name, write down one key thing that you had that in that conversation that you learned about them. Because otherwise, if you've met 20 people at an event, and then you go back to your office and it's kind of, you're busy, or back to your home, family, what are the chances that you're going to remember all those conversations? For me, with my memory, slim to none. So take notes as much as you can. And even if it's a really busy networking event and you're going from conversation to conversation, have your notebook out right then and there, and just tell people, hey, I really value this beginning of this relationship we're talking about here. Let me just take a moment to write this down, and people will understand. It might seem awkward at first, but people will understand what you're doing. So.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
When we were at the real estate conference last September, there was actually a person that had never happened to me before, in however long, that was linking in right away as they were talking. So once they were talking to you, then they were linking into your LinkedIn profile, like right while we were talking. I thought that was a valuable way to not lose that connection. And then, obviously you have access to all of everything that they had right away. Like during the conversation, I was like, can we link in? If the conversation was
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's great. And like, for example, I didn't bring my business cards today, but if you guys look me up on social media, you can find me, John Stiles, and we can be connected that way. So, and then the next thing here is just introduce people to other people. So even if you've arrived at this networking event and you feel like you're not sure what kind of value you have to offer, you have the value of introducing one person to another. Once you've met somebody, you now know them, and everybody loves a warm introduction, am I right? So you've actually provided value to two different people when you make an introduction. Additionally, you've had another opportunity to say their name. Okay, so after the event, this is where the real networking starts, actually. And it's really complicated. I'm going to give it to you all right up front here. 3 steps. Follow up, and follow up. So the issue with this, again, common sense, but not always common practice. The issue with follow-up is follow-through. So what does follow-up really mean? Well, when you get back to your office or your home or whatever, you've got your notebook with names and details about conversations and who people are. I suggest you use a CRM, a customer relationship management tool. Obviously this could be as simple and basic as an Excel spreadsheet or your contacts on your phone. But I would recommend that you find something with a few extra features in it. I'd recommend that you have something where you can segment or group or label people. So you want to be able to quickly and easily come back to people that you met. So, if you just go to one event and you meet 20 people, that's not too many to remember, but after you've done this for 10 years, you're going to have met hundreds of people. And how are you going to remember all those? And then when you meet somebody new and they're looking for that one person that does that one thing, and you're like, I know that person, but who is it? Well, you want to be able to go back to your CRM and be able to search for maybe that segment or label of maybe the real estate agent who specializes in multifamily property with 4 to 40 units. Whatever it is in your CRM there. So, segment connections into group. Then you want to create a follow-up plan, a frequency. So some people, I would say with everybody you meet initially, you want to follow up with everybody the same within the next couple of hours, actually, if not the next day or within the same week. You want to make an initial follow-up right away. Then with some people, if there's not a very strong connection, maybe the frequency is less, maybe quarterly or annually or whatever. But if it's a stronger connection, stay in touch with people weekly and monthly, depending on what the situation is there. But you want your CRM to be giving you these reminders. Again, if you leave it in your brain, it may not happen, especially when you got a lot of people. But remember, these connections are really valuable. You've spent a lot of time, you spent a lot of money in order to gain these connections. And in addition, we know how valuable they can be, right? Remember what the purpose was that we're doing networking in the beginning, to create valuable relationships, to create business partnerships, to find deals, opportunities, partners, all these different things of why networking is important. So I would say that at least one, if not several of these follow-up reaches needs to be an in-person meeting. We can go ahead and connect on LinkedIn and Facebook and all that, and those are good, but they're kind of passive. You can like somebody's post or whatnot, but how well are you going to really get to know them? So if you see a real business opportunity with somebody, if you have a good connection with them, you definitely want to get together with them, again, kind of on a one-on-one or a smaller group, so that you can build a stronger relationship with them. So that's what we're trying to do here is tap into the extended network that is out there. And then so what I do want to leave you with here is kind of similar to what you said, but it's a tip on LinkedIn. So if you have a LinkedIn on your phone, if you could bring out your phone right now. So once you have LinkedIn up, and here we go. You're going to want to click on the lower left-hand side. It says Home, and then it says My Network. So you're going to click on My Network. Say yes if you're with me.
Yes, sir.
Great. And then on the lower right side, there's a little plus sign with a little silhouette and a plus sign. So if you click that, say yes if you're with me.
Yep.
All right. So it should look like this. And then you're going to want to click Find Nearby. Or tap, not click. And in a moment, for everybody that's participating, you should be able to see them right there on your phone. All right, so go ahead and hit plus next to the people that you're not connected with.
I'm spamming you.
All right. Is everybody connected in here now? All right, looks like a few more people. All right. So now that we're connected on LinkedIn, you know how to reach me. So yeah, let's go out there and have some success in our networking endeavors in 2020. All right. Thanks for tuning in to Maximizing Your Property Value, the apartment owner's guide to operating rental properties as a successful business. If you're considering scaling up, downsizing, or right-sizing your real estate investment portfolio, it's important to know how to determine your property's value in today's market. That's why I've put together a free ebook for you called How to Calculate Your Investment Property's Value. To get your copy, go to www.realestatestyles.com/value. Now, if you found any value in today's show, be sure to subscribe to our email newsletter, YouTube channel, and podcast through your favorite podcast player. All the links are in the show notes. And would you do me a big favor? Help me get the word out about this show by sharing with your friends on Facebook and LinkedIn. And lastly, we appreciate your 5-star rating on iTunes. I really appreciate you and wish you the best in your real estate investing career. Signing off, I'm John Stiles with Bridge Realty. Make it a great day.